I've been trying to, through the morning, really figure out what specific question I wanted to ask you, but I haven't.
When you raised your hand, what's up? What's on your mind? What caused that? Because that was an inspired timing, especially. Boom, right there. So
I have a situation where my family is very up close, kind of in my face. They recently moved in with me, and I feel a lot of obligation to do things for them. And I have a 1-year-old, and I don't really find a lot of time to be alone. And I've come to a place where I'm happy to be alone, and then this situation has happened, this experience has occurred where I can't exactly find a lot of time to be alone and put myself in a good place and build momentum. And so then they're up close in my face.
You've heard us talking a lot today about getting out ahead of things. Yes. And when you are lying in your bed, getting ready to go to sleep, you have some time to get out ahead of it. Or when you are in your car going someplace, you have some time to get out ahead of it. Are you working?
No, I'm a mom, stay-at-home mom.
And so are there not times during the day that you can find solitude?
Not very often. My dad doesn't work, and I have a younger brother, and they're there most of the time. And then, I'm focusing on my little one, and my mom is the only one that leaves.
And so the key for you is to find enough opportunity to get out ahead of it so that the condition doesn't bother you. Isn't that the solution we're looking for here? Yes. To find enough snatches of time or enough deliberate application of what you know to be to get out ahead of it so that the conditions don't bother you. Because really that's what unconditional love or unconditional alignment is, because there are so many things in the world that if you looked at it would upset you. So the key to living happily ever after and things beginning to morph into more of what you do want is for you to get out ahead of it, get into the receptive mode, and then follow your impulse. How did it come about that they came to stay with you? Did they just show up one day and demand that they come in?
No.
Or did you invite them?
They financially were in a position that they had to leave their place, and so I said, of course, you guys should come stay with me.
So did that feel to you like it was an impulse that came? You said to us, of course. So it just seemed like the next logical step given where they were, of course.
Yeah, I knew that there was not necessarily anywhere else that they would be able to go, so I was like, well, I'm not going to say no.
And do you think, and we're not trying to guide this one way or another, because actually either answer is just wonderful, but do you think that you were in a mode of overwhelmment, in a mode of discontent, in a vibration of not feeling good when that inspiration to invite them came? Or do you think you were feeling good, feeling prosperous, feeling blessed in your own life when the idea occurred to you?
The first one.
So then it's logical that then they would stay longer than you really want them to, and they would take up more space than you really ever thought they could possibly take up, and that they would eat more than you ever thought anybody could eat, and that there was no sign of them ever leaving, which feels sort of hopeless. That's a sort of natural momentum. So how do I, you say, get to a place different from where I am? And that feeling of, it's a sort of feeling of hopelessness that you're describing, because you feel like you can't ask for what you really want because they need a place to be. So it's like your desires of your solitude and your clean house and getting back into the world that you're used to living doesn't feel possible without doing something else that you really don't want to do, which is throw them out when they really need to be there. So it feels to you like there are no right answers. And we want to say to you, that's right now. There is no good answer of action right now. There's nothing that you can do right now. But there are answers in how you can feel. You could imagine them financially being in a better place and things turning around for them. Is that a hard thought?
A little bit. I just feel very distracted by trying to think of...
But what we are asking you is, have they not been well employed? Have they not been able to take care of themselves for a very long time? So that thought feels impossible? That's not a good one to start on, because there's too much momentum even in the thought about that. Is there anything that you like about them being there? You say you have a 1-year-old. Does anybody spend any time playing with your 1-year-old or
yes.
entertaining your 1-year-old? Are they enjoying your 1-year-old?
Yes.
Is there a bonding that's taking place there?
Very much.
So that's really a lovely thing, and that feels really good, doesn't it? And even sometimes you could scoot out if you wanted to for a little bit, because now there's someone that could be there, that could watch a little bit, so you could find a little more freedom than you're acknowledging that you are able to find if you really wanted to.
Yes.
Yes?
I just feel bad about it.
Well, that's really worth thinking about. So which feels worse? To leave your little one for an hour or two, or to throw them out on the street?
Yes.
Poop to value we're talking about. Which feels better? So if you acknowledge that you want to get into the receptive mode, doesn't that sort of seem like a good idea? Now, you couldn't come to that idea when you're feeling guilty, when you feel bad. When you feel bad, you know what your choices are? In which way will I martyr myself today? But when you feel good, how can we all win? How can we all win? How can we find harmony so that we all win for a while? You're following this carefully and closely, aren't you? You understand what we're getting at. So let's go back to the question that we posed for all of us earlier. So what is the most logical step for me to take in helping myself to get into the receptive mode more of the time, given these conditions? It's by carving out a little time for yourself, making lists of positive aspects, just finding something that feels a little better. And when you do that for a day or 2 or 3 or 4, then things will start to break loose. Ideas will begin to come. Other options will reveal themselves to you. You're not the only one, but it's a very strong thing going on within you, who believes that it is your responsibility to step in and serve others. And we certainly are not encouraging anything other than that. It feels good to help. But when you sacrifice things that matter to you in order to be the path of least resistance for someone else, then even though you are providing them with something that they need, you put yourself in a place of resentment, which is the last thing in the world that they want. And it's the last thing in the world that you want, because you can't be in resentment and in alignment at the same time. So when you hold yourself in resentment, what happens is you give up all of your opportunity to be resourced. In other words, that's what the receptive mode is. It's the resource mode. It's the refueling. Someone asked Esther the other day, how do you fly so much, and how do you spend so many nights away, and how do you do so much? Aren't you depleted? And Esther says, no. It's like tapping into something where the energy just keeps flowing. When you are in this alignment and you're doing something that you want to do and you're feeling good, then you are resourced. You don't get depleted, you see. And so that's what you're wanting to do. Figure out how you can replenish your feeling good without it being contingent on some condition changing. You can do it. And then things will begin to happen and ideas will begin to flow, because this is always true. Things are always working out for you. For them too. But things are always working out for you. So in what way? In the way that we get to be together, in the way that we get to know one another, and in the way that we can share some of the responsibilities of the household, in the way that we can share some of the responsibilities and fun of the meals and of the child care. From our perspective, having peeked in, more advantages than disadvantages, way more advantages than disadvantages. But there's another thing that you can feel. It's not your job, and it's not good for them for you to be the path of least resistance for that. And we want you to know they don't want it either. They do not want this to be an ongoing long-term situation. But they keep talking about it. They keep trying to soothe you. They keep explaining how much they don't want it. They keep saying to you that we don't know what else to do. And so it's continuing to perpetuate it. You got to pull out of that. You got to say, hey, it's okay. Let's not worry about it for now. Something else will come along. It's going to be okay. And I'm good here. And I'm good here. Those are the words that you want to say and mean. I'm good here. Hey, I'm good here. Hey, I'm good here. Can you change a diaper? Hey, I'm good here. Hey, I'm good here. I need to run off to the store a little bit. Anybody want anything? I'm good here. Hey, I'm good here. I'm going to go for a run. I'm good here. I'm good here. And as you begin to relax into the benefits and not rail against what is not wanted and not feel their discord, the last thing in the world that anybody ever feels good about is dependence on somebody else. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to feel dependent, because everyone innately, at some level of their being, understands that they have these resources that somehow they've gotten themselves pinched off from, and so now they're in that victim mode. What you want to do is help them to understand this isn't the victim mode, this is the temporary, let's have a good family reunion mode. This isn't the victim mode, this isn't the hard luck mode, this is the we're all rallying together and figuring out what to do next mode. This isn't the, oh, can't wait till we get it over mode. This is the, isn't this a nice time in our life, and aren't we going to be down the road sometime and all be glad that we had this time together mode. As you begin looking like that, things will turn around instantly in this sense. You're going to feel way better. And that's really the only thing that matters, isn't it? Yeah. Helpful?
Yes, very much. I do mentally understand that, like, unless you have the impulse or the inspiration not to take action because it's not going to pan out how you want by efforting.
Sometimes you can't help it because the momentum's strong enough that it just sucks you in.
I think that's kind of
why you
I'm
say the devil made me do it.
Okay. And with my dad, he is the one that showed me you, actually. And my daughter's dad and I, when we were together, we started listening to you more and more, and it just really sat with me, your teachings. And so I continued on my own to continue to listen to you. But now that we're all together and, he's living with me now, my dad feels a need to talk to me a lot about, like, what's next, what to do, and, oh, I just listened to an amazing video, and let me talk to you for 3 hours about how it can benefit you. And if you would just get this light bulb that I want you to get, everything would be great. And I feel that feeling-wise, I'm further than what he's trying to tell me, because I feel like he's coming from it mentally, and I don't exactly know how to, stop the conversation without him getting upset, or to take it in a different direction, or just kind of end it, because it doesn't really feel very good to me to have those talks all the time. I don't exactly know what to do about it.
Well, it's not just that it's pressing against your sense of time. In other words, if he were applying some of these things, then he wouldn't be living in your house. And yet it's disrespectful to say that to him. You don't want to say, apply it and move out, please.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say.
But as the uplifter that you are, sometimes it's fun to listen for value, because there are a lot of ways of saying things that are of value. And so, again, you want to get out ahead of it, because when you're sort of blindsided by it, and then you feel trapped in it, and then eventually or quickly you begin to feel resentful about it, then you're sort of caught in this, and then it becomes not maybe an open bickering thing, but it becomes a vibrational bickering thing. We're going to present a few questions to you just to sort of cause some stability here. Do you believe that your father is always well-meaning with you?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you believe that he cares about the well-being of you?
Yes.
Do you believe that he is strong in his opinions?
Yes.
Do you believe that he believes that his opinions are the best opinions?
For the most part, I would say yeah.
Do you believe that his opinions are the best opinions?
No.
You've come to this place of believing what you believe, however you've come to it, and he's come to this place of believing what he believes, however he's come to it. And those beliefs don't always mesh up. And the thing that humans have been destroying one another with for years, whether it's relationships or with bombs dropping, is needing others to agree with them about these things. Esther used to say to Jerry, I really want to talk about this because I want to know what you think. And Jerry would say, I don't think you want to know what I think you want me to think what you think. I think you want me to agree with you. And Esther always denied that, but it was always true. In other words, she just wanted to win him over to her way of looking at this. And so you'll never win like that. You'll never find alignment like that, because it's not meshing your opinions with his that you're reaching for. And we acknowledge it sometimes feels good for somebody to agree with you about things. We're not arguing that point. But your intention is not to mesh with his point of view. Your intention is to mesh with that of your inner being. that of your inner being, that of your